drive in here, it's a beautiful area here, like beautiful. The water and the shoreline here is amazing. But unfortunately, there's a darker side that a lot of people don't see. There seems to be an influx of, of crime, organized crime, moving in and infiltrating some of the First Nations.
I'd ask them, what happened to them? To think it's okay to come into our communities and take advantage of our beautiful men and women and give them a drug that takes their spirit and crushes it into little pieces.
People are dying, people are sick, people are losing their family,
You know, I've chased out 4 drug dealers out of this community so far, myself. I only do it in the daylight.
Let's be honest here, if you were a gang person, or you're involved in the sale of illicit drugs, what better place to set up than on a First Nations where they know policing is bare bones?
We're in Wasauksing, and we're driving down the road to a community member's home that we believe has someone living there in a trailer that sources say is a drug dealer from Toronto.
They're taking advantage of the people and their vulnerability, so they're trapped. But I mean, if you don't shine the light on the dark, it always stays dark.
You know, let's talk about the secrets, the drug dealers, the drug issues. Let's talk about that. That's a tough conversation.
This conversation is long overdue. It's time for everybody to wake up.
Wasauksing First Nation, an island community in Minnesota, and home to about 400 Anishinaabe, 230 kilometers north of Toronto. Wasauksing, just like everywhere else in the territory, has been a victim of the toxic drug crisis, and these people have had enough.
I asked the grandfathers to help us have a good mind, a clear mind. We find ways to get out of the situation that we're in with the drugs, the narcotics, the sex trafficking.
This gathering has been a long time coming in the community.
Our communities are being affected. You know, I came from a long path that was struggling with addictions. So 2 years.
There's child and family services workers, Kukums, former chiefs, and a Wasauksing band council.
Because being in the trenches is where it's at. You gotta get in there, you gotta get dirty. Their identity of living.
That's exactly what helped Elena King find a way forward.
Community gatherings. We need to remind them of who they are within their spirits. Get them connected with their spirits. Getting them out on the land. It helps to clear your mind, gets your mind off of the drugs and alcohol. That, you know, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Chaos turns to trauma. Like a poison, it begins killing the spirit. Soon it goes looking for an escape.
I know there's a lot of people that have trauma, like trauma.
Toronto drug dealers know it too, and how to profit off of it, no matter the cost.
People are dying, people are sick, people are losing their family.
The numbers are staggering. More than 600 people have died from drug overdoses in nearby Sudbury since 2018. That's like wiping out an entire small town. There's been another 217 in Sault Ste. Marie, and nearly 200 in the Parry Sound Health District. Alan McDonald says he works in Child and Family Services near Sault Ste. Marie, and that he's seen how gangs have infiltrated homes, wounded homes, with vulnerable First Nations women and their children.
You know, we all know the residential schools, and that brought a lot of trauma to the First Nations, and I think there's a lot of people struggling with that still, which makes them more susceptible to the addictions issue.
He says everyone needs to stand up and fight back, especially leadership.
Like our chiefs and council need to be the leaders of the community, not so much the politicians. Like they need to know what's best for the people, and that might be some hard decisions, but there certainly needs to be a shift in the mindset for us. But after listening to some of the others in there, what I've seen is it's not an isolated issue.
For Jody Khan, it's personal. Someone she knows is trapped in the wide swath of addictions, and there's strangers from the city everywhere.
She's stuck there. I think she's being extorted, trafficked, however you want to describe it. And I don't think she knows how to get out. And all I can say to her is, when you're ready, I'm here. And she's around people who don't have a care in the world for life that would take your life in a second, in a heartbeat, to get the $30 out of your pocket.
All attempts to help have failed. Jody says that she risked her own life trying.
And all you can do is tell them that you love them, that you want them to live that life they're supposed to live and wake up. This is not how it's supposed to go.
As chief of Wasauksing, Warren Tababadan is a forward thinker. He wants to move the community ahead so it can prosper, but that doesn't mean he won't wrangle a drug dealer or two himself along the way.
The community expects that, even if the police aren't available. They expect the chief to do something about it. And
what's that been like, going over to them and confronting them?
we have one entrance to the community. It's the bridge. So I just wait there. I'll follow them through the community. We know our people. We know the people that are involved with that.
The drug dealers also know those same people struggling are about to get a lot of money. Wasauksing and 20 other First Nations of the Robinson-Huron Treaty signed a $10 billion settlement with Canada and Ontario. This is after Canada capped treaty payments in 1875 to $4. Within weeks of this interview, tens of thousands of dollars will be deposited in members' bank accounts.
Do you have any worry about when the treaty money hits?
Well, we're doing a lot of planning right now in regards to, a lot of the positive that's going to come out of the RHT settlement and compensation. But we're also knowing who we are and what our people are challenged with. When you oppress people for 400 years, and as our elders said, Kinagego, they took everything. And now we're being offered a little bit of wealth.
How bad things could go for some weighs on the chief.
We're also getting ready for mass tragedy as well, unfortunately. And some of these plans are coming from the EMS services, the policing units, because they're very familiar with what happens when these bad drugs are around. And our people are going to have a lot of money They may be exploited by these drug dealers, these bad people.
We're in Wasauksing, and we're driving down the road to a community member's home that we believe has someone living there in a trailer that sources say is a drug dealer from Toronto. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Hey, how you doing? Good. Looking for Terrence.
Hair? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
May I ask you, may I ask you a question?
Yeah, I'm a reporter from APTN, and I was hoping to talk to him.
He's in town someplace right now.
Okay. Hey, buddy.
Don't get tired. Oh, excuse me here, Mark.
Sorry, guys.
Tell the dog to be quiet.
Do you know when he might be back?
Later on this evening.
Okay.
Exactly what time, I'm not sure. I know he had a few runners to run.
No, I understand. Hey, sweetheart.
What's that pertain to? Car accident or something?
Yeah. Anyways, I'll come back, brother. Thanks. So Terrence wasn't there. He's in town. This guy that I was talking to said he'd be back there later tonight. That's not an ideal place to go and talk to this guy.
We arrived in Wasauksing just a few weeks before millions in treaty money is going to be released across the territory. And the First Nation is right beside the town of Parry Sound. The town's problems can quickly become the First Nations, and vice versa. And while there's a similar signs of a small town struggling with drug addiction, this is a first. The local Child Protection Agency recently moved in right next to the methadone clinic downtown. I covered the Child and Family Services system for 5 years and never seen anything like this.
Can I ask you a question? I'm a reporter from APTN. What do you think of the Trillium Date Society being next door to the clinic here?
Honestly, I don't think it's right. Like, I don't think their children should see this stuff where parents look like even with parents who have addictions, right? Like, it's just a way for them to monitor and keep an extra eye out on them. And like, I think that parents who are trying to better themselves deserve the right to have privacy.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a reporter from APTN. I'm just in town working on a story. And I couldn't help but notice that you guys are next to the methadone clinic. And I just thought that was an interesting dynamic. I'm wondering why CAS is right next to a methadone clinic.
If you want to hang on, I can get our supervisor.
Okay, great.
The supervisor never comes to the door. If this is how bad things are, what's going to happen when some people struggling get $100,000 deposited right into their bank account? That's something that Constable Maggie Petty of the Nishnabek Police Service wonders too. Petty's 2 years on the job when we meet up with her at the Wasauksing detachment where she begins each shift. She's going to take me out on a patrol. Our first stop is Magnetawan, about 70 kilometers north. And as I soon find out, it may be a small community, but it's had some big secrets.
Like we did, like for 2 years, have a guy who was wanted for second-degree murder hiding in Magnetawan. He tried to run, but we located him where we thought he was. And then he had a bunch of cocaine on him, individually packed.
His name was Demetrius McFarquhar, and he had been wanted by police in Toronto for 2 years.
There was the days afterwards where community members, some of them had no idea. And they're like, how can someone like that be here?
Police tracked him to a unit inside this fourplex last December. It's the same unit where APS just executed another warrant for stolen property in June and found 110 grams of cocaine. Resident Debbie Jones was charged with drug trafficking and possession of stolen property. Her case is still before the court.
And that's significant for our community size. So if they just got that, how many times had they, picked up? Where did it come from? And we would assume it came from a bigger city. We can't say where, but...
After patrolling through Manetawan, talking to various people she comes across, Petty typically heads back south to Wasauksing First Nation, before returning to Wasauksing, where she waits for calls to come in. That means there's no permanent police presence in either Manetawan or Wasauksing.
So when you're pulled to 3 different communities, we want to balance all their needs, different events going on, different timelines, plus, sometimes we have to attend court, or, we have interviews to schedule or follow-up. And so a lot of the times, I do my investigations from start to finish. And so that's also a lot of pressure, and I don't mind it, but pressure of getting all the witness statements or the victims, all the evidence, video, and following up on that, but I still really want to be present in the community.
Sergeant Chantal Larocque is a veteran APS officer and knows the challenges Petty faces, especially considering the territory.
Wasauksing cluster includes Manetawan and Wasauksing. What makes it really difficult there is that Highway 69, that's a human trafficking, drug trafficking, everything goes through there. So it's very difficult. We're dealing with community members, but worse, we're dealing with unknowns from the city, gang members. So the amount of weapons and serious offenders that have been kind of nabbed in those areas has increased in the last few years.
The numbers show it only gets worse the more you head north. Larocque is based out of this detachment in Nipissing First Nation between North Bay and Sudbury. No, it's not the entire building. The APS detachment is over here, in the corner.
So welcome to the office.
The rest of the building is a community school.
This is seized property that should be in a locked facility, but you're about to see the space we work in. This is supposed to be a change room / officers' storage area, but it's very inadequate, and as you can see, it's mixed with so many different things. The table here is, believe it or not, our lunch table.
Change room, weight room, seized items, lunch table.
And property storage. For the longest time was just for...
It doesn't get any better as we head further inside.
And this here...
And it's hard to believe they work in these conditions.
It's the only secure room we have for interviews, so if you're an accused, but we can't use it because we have to fingerprint in here with this machine, or here. And this is actually our gun vault. It's in the room that we're putting people in.
This isn't how other police operate. Not in Ottawa, not in Toronto, not even the provincial police in a small town, because they all get secure and steady funding.
Our vehicles are worse, they have more mileage. Our offices are more dysfunctional. So it's embarrassing to bring people here. This
is the entry right there, right?
That's the, that's the public entrance.
So they got to come through?
Yeah, they come through the school entrance to get to us. And then our court administrator can deal with them there for like criminal record checks and signing in, fingerprints. But again, they wait there, but they use our washroom.
Like Petty, Larocque took us around Nipissing First Nation. We talk about how the APS is underfunded. With just fair funding, imagine what more they could do, she says. Instead, it's a stark reminder of how bad things are, and unfair to everyone.
Let's be honest here, if you were a gang person, or you're involved in the sale of illicit drugs, what better place to set up than on a First Nations where they know policing is bare bones?
This is Terrence Smith. He's from Toronto. The 23-year-old was charged with obstruction in June for lying to police about his identity. They also charged him for having brass knuckles and a butterfly knife. The address he gave was to this property in Wasauksing. It's the one I went to earlier trying to find him. Terrence either wasn't there or didn't want to come out of the trailer. I am back a couple days later, only this time to talk to the property owner, Frank Babadan. Frank is 57, and he says he met Terrence through a friend. He also says no one is selling drugs from his property.
What are they doing here then? They just come to camp for the summer and that.
Frank does tell me the police have been to his home now twice about Terrence. He knows people in the community are concerned for him.
So with you, your family line ends, eh?
Life hasn't been easy for Frank, but he still came to the door when I knocked and even showed me around his property. He told me he's the last surviving member of his family.
Hold on.
Yeah, my brothers are gone. Mine was 15. He got shot when he was 13. And he got a brain tumor. He died. My other brother died when he was 45. I don't even know why I'm still alive, man.
A few days after I speak with Frank, he calls the police to have them remove Terrence from his property. A bench warrant is an issue for Terrence's arrest when he skips his court date for the lying and weapon charges. He is arrested shortly after by Officer Petty in Wasauksing First Nation on a routine traffic stop where she alleges she finds $1,500 in cash and illegal drugs in the car. Petty charges Terrence and a local man with drug trafficking. The next day, a judge ordered Terrence to go back to Toronto and live with his mom. One less alleged drug dealer in the territory.
The people that are selling the drugs and making them, I wonder what are they thinking? I just can't get my mind around that to,
Yeah, there's lots of negatives. We got to find the positive in that. And maybe one of the positives are the strength of our community, the resiliency.
I'm grateful and honored to be sitting in this circle with everybody and being able to be a part of the great change we know is coming. And being a part of something different and having those conversations that we've been silent for a little bit too long here. It's kind of like a rumble. You make a bit of a rumble.